The Wally Show podcast is our daily radio show heard live through the WayFM app each morning and hosted by Wally, Gavin, and me, Betty Rock. For more fun, be sure to connect with us at wayfm.com/Wally.
The Wally Show podcast is brought to you by Colorado Christian University Online, where you can earn a degree online just like Betty Rock. You can learn more at ccu.edu/Wally. Things you didn't know you needed to know today. It's News-ish with Betty.
I want y'all to be honest with me.
Yeah, your hair's bad. No, I'm kidding.
He doesn't mean that. He doesn't mean that, Betty. Just keep going. Okay. Do either of y'all or do your wives pay attention to the sell-by dates on produce?
I do.
I definitely do.
I 100% do. If it's like milk, for example, when it says, sell by date, or I guess, I don't know if it's expiration, I don't know, whatever the date is, if it's within a couple days of that, I won't drink it.
And see, that what you just said is exactly why they're doing this, because you had a little bit of confusion on whatever label it is. Well, California just announced that by July 1st of 2026, they are banning all sell-by dates on their produce. And you're like, wait a minute, why would you ban that? Well, it's because they pretty much want to dumb it down for people like us and Wally, because we don't know what that date really means. Essentially, the sell-by date was meant for the grocery store people so that they knew when to rotate the produce and all that. Now, or move the ones that are sell-by date, move it to the front so that they can get rid of it.
They do that with the milk, too, okay? Like, watch this.
I know.
Okay, so the milk, when you go to the milk cabinet, you got to look at it because the stuff that's going to expire first is in the front. But you get reach to the back, and you'll get an extra couple days out of it.
Well, they're banning all the sell-by dates, and instead they're going to have two labels, and they're going to be very descriptive so you know what you're looking at. It's going to be two labels, one that says best if used by.
Okay.
So this is peak quality of the item that you're buying.
Right.
And then underneath it is going to be another date, and it's labeled used by. And this is due to food safety. So you've got your best if used by, which means there's still a little leeway.
Yeah.
And then the next one that says used by. And that's if it's past that date, then it's done.
That's the only one we need. Quite honestly, like, you got to dumb it down even more. It's like, put the use by. This is the DEFCON whatever. This is the last moment you have to eat this. If if you're going to do two labels, you have use by, and then like put a skull and crossbones by it, so do not exceed this date. And then if you're gonna have a second label, put this one will cause you gastric problems.
Well, I think California is coming at it from a good heart because they said that they're hoping that this will eliminate food waste at stores and reduce customer costs.
Okay.
So I think that's fantastic. But this is what I found troubling. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. They claim that expiration dates on food are ultimately just educated guesses by the manufacturer, and it's based on typical trends.
Sure.
So like if cheese typically goes out of date by this time, that's what they're guessing on.
That's why I give it a couple days. If it's like I don't eat things that are like within a couple days of the expiration date. I just don't. I'm not taking that chance. Ironically, I will still eat a milk dud off the floor, but. Uplifting WayFM. This is the Wally Show. Every weekend we do something to talk about your weekend. Today we're going to do a little hashtag your weekend. This is where you tell us a story about something that happened to you over the weekend, and then Betty Rock, who's really good at hashtags, will come up with a hashtag for you. We'll demonstrate now. Gavin, new daddy Gavin, not sleeping much, enjoying his new baby boy, Bennett.
Ironically, it was a good weekend in terms of sleep. Well, Friday into Saturday, the kids slept from about 8:30 to 4:30.
Nice.
That was when fed him, and then we slept for another 2 or 3 hours. Awesome.
You feel human again.
It doesn't redeem the 2 months of not sleeping per se.
Yeah, you'll hold him accountable for that for years.
It's the first step in recovery.
Yeah.
But that recovery was cut short because that same night, my youngest dog Jasper, who I have a tough relationship with overall.
It's strained.
He had eaten a slice of pizza that I had left out, which again was my fault. But when you're trying to change the diaper, do all this stuff, I walk out, see him smacking his lips. I'm like, bummer, dude. And it was a hot honey, pepperoni, pizza. Like it was
that sounds good.
not ideal. And so that leads to Jasper's upset tummy for the rest of the weekend. And
so then you had to deal with Jasper and like not sleep now because of your dog. So
Yes.
you're finally getting sleep because of your baby. And then your dog keeps now, like people will frown on you if you give your child away. Most people would understand the dog.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. I need him to stop being
Him.
some days. So I was up every hour and a half last night.
Oh my God.
Taking
No.
him out front and
No.
it was
No.
necessary.
That is a bummer.
Call Sarah McLachlan. I'm out. that should be
There's
your
your
hashtag.
hashtag.
Call Sarah McLachlan.
You
That
just
one just came
hashtagged
to me.
it accidentally.
If you don't know who Sarah McLachlan is, she sings that song that
In the Arms of the
ASPCA
Angel.
uses in their in their commercials. She sings "In the Arms of the Angel." It's that hey, I just outdid myself.
Yeah, you
I
did.
was gonna go with hashtag psych sucker,
No.
but
no.
instead I'm gonna go hashtag call Sarah McLachlan.
I love it. All right, so Betty Rock can do the same for you. You just share a story of something that happened over your weekend. Tell us what went on, what went wrong, what was good. It can be either way, and then we will hashtag it for you so you can create the perfect post. 855-33-WAY-FM. That's 855-33-WAY-FM. What do you got?
So I played a concert with my sister, or like a mini concert in my room for my sister and my stuffies, and I actually recorded it and posted it on my YouTube channel. And then my sister was actually recording the entire thing from on my iPad. And it was the concert was very unhinged. I had to do a bunch of stuff, and there's many accidents.
It was unhinged. I love that.
Unhinged in a good way or a bad way?
In the middle of the both.
In the middle of the way. Okay. How old are you, Michael?
9.
9 years old. Okay, now what were you doing in this concert? Were you singing? Were you playing guitar? What were you doing?
I played guitar and sung
How long have you been playing guitar?
for about 3 months now.
3 months. Okay, so you're still getting it worked out. That's pretty bold to play a concert and post it on YouTube. I respect you for that because people can comment sometimes and they're not always the nicest on line. So that's really good that you don't think about that or worry about that.
Yeah, but for some reason YouTube blocks off the comments when you're a minor.
Oh, that is a great idea. That is, I wish they could do that for my social media, man. Like, why is it only good for kids? Well, did you learn anything for next time?
Yeah, never let my sister record, and make sure you do not make sure you practice before the concert.
There you go. I think I could hashtag this one, Rock, if you don't mind.
Go.
Hashtag practice makes perfect.
And that's true. And you've got many years ahead of you, so that's going to be helpful. At 9 years old, you'll see yourself at 19 and you'll be like, man, I've learned a lot since then. So that's great.
Yeah, thanks.
What's yours?
Well, we're way down south, and so we got hit really bad in Valdosta with the hurricane. And so my family's been out of power for 8 days.
That's a lot. My sister was going through the exact same thing in South Carolina, and I actually drove a generator to her so that they could have some sort of power.
So we loaded up. I went ahead and I said, okay, I'm going to do laundry at where I work. We have a washer and a dryer. So we loaded up 8 days worth of stinky laundry. And as I'm driving to my work, my daughter goes, would it be funny if we got our power back on right now? And I said, don't say that. Are you serious? So we get to the work, and I start the clothes, and I get a text that the power is back on.
Oh, that's great, though, man. You forget how much you take electricity for granted and how good clean clothes feel.
And smell.
Yes, and smell. That. Don't underestimate the smell.
Jen, what's the brand of detergent that you use?
Well, my husband is a Gain snob.
A Gain snob?
Gain
Okay.
snob. Okay. I would use the hashtag Hurricane Gain.
Okay.
Because you're doing so many loads of laundry, and it's going to feel like a hurricane.
Here's another good one, too. Hashtag no gain, all pain.
Oh, I like that, too.
That's good.
Well,
Thank
Jen,
you,
we're
guys.
happy that you got your power back and you can kind of start getting your life back to normal. And we appreciate you listening and being on the show with us. Thank you.
Absolutely. Y'all take care.
Hey, Wally, do you have a minute?
Sorry, busy.
I have cake.
Oh, what do you need?
Yeah, see, that's a perfect example of even though we are busy, we make time for what's important.
Yeah, because going back to school as an adult, you're busy with work, you've got family, but if you want to make your education a priority, trust me, you can do it. Betty did.
Like when I first started, I was super intimidated because it had been a while since I've been in school. But I mean, from the very first conversation, I felt like they were setting me up for success.
Yeah, and going back to school with CCU's flexible online courses makes it so convenient.
Yeah, and what's so cool is every class has a biblical worldview perspective. And so you think, well, how can they turn math into a biblical worldview? They find a way.
Yeah, and that was one of my jobs when I was teaching at CCU, was integrating not just the facts and figures of things, but how your faith plays into what you're going to do.
CCU offers Christ-centered higher education, transforming students to impact the world with grace and truth.
Cultivate your mind without compromising your heart. Get started today at online.ccu.edu. Colorado Christian University is a non-profit impact partner.
In a broken world, stories with humor, heart, or hope are a nice change of pace.
There are some things money can't buy.
It's News-ish on The Wally Show.
I had dinner with my friend Paul, who runs ShowerUp. It's a non-profit that normally provides showers for the homeless in multiple cities across the country. But like when disasters like Hurricane Helene hit, he shifts into relief mode and he goes to these hard-hit areas to provide people with showers and laundry service. And one lady had gotten a quick shower and some clean clothes, and she said it felt like a day at the spa after going 7 days without a shower or any clean clothes, and she had lost a lot of what she had. So some comfort through kindness made all the difference in the world.
Right, and it's something that you take for granted. Like, I wouldn't even think about providing showers for people in hurricane environment, like in the area, but it's something that you take for granted and you don't realize until 7 days later. You're like, I stank.
Yeah, and he does it for first responders that are there, you know, that are working hard for recovery efforts, and then people that have been affected by it. He said there was one lady that showed up, and she was an officer, and she was still in all of her gear. And she was like, can I get a shower too? And he's like, absolutely.
Yeah.
And she's like, it's been like almost 8 days, and she had been on patrol, and the road washed out from underneath her, and she was trapped and was in the water. And she said, she goes, I thought, oh great, this is how I'm going to go out. And then she goes, then I thought, oh my gosh, this is how I'm going to go out. Like the reality of her situation hit her. She's like, I am going to die. And she had made peace with that and was like, I can't hold on any longer. I've got to let go. And she goes, right then, she goes, something pushed me up out of the water. And she's like, I'm a believer, I'm a Christian, and I believe that that was God. There's no other explanation for it, kind of thing. And so these are just a few of the stories that he's gotten, you know, to hear from people that are there. And he told me that it's gotten really, really, it's bad there. Like they just did a recovery and they found 80 people in one spot. You know, and the smell is really bad, but he's down there. He's like, I'm just smiling and just trying to bring God's love to people. And, you know, it's funny because when things like this happen, people get all like, I don't know, angry with the church and angry with Christians and, oh, you guys are the worst. You guys are the worst. When a disaster happens, who are the first people on the ground? It's the church. The local church mobilizes. Christians mobilize, and they help people, and they meet people where they are, and they change people's lives. So, okay, for example, like there are 4 shower trucks, like brand new ones that the government there paid for, $10,000 each to get them delivered to the site. Then they're paid daily to have them there. None of them are running because they don't have water. So they spent all this money on these things. Some company made money. Paul is there for free, doing it out of his own pocket, you know, and he basically was like, I'm going to just call and find water since the water sources are messed up. He makes one random call. Guy's like, I got water. I'll bring it to you. Guy brings him a truck of water so they could do the showers. So he does 2 days of that. Then a semi-truck filled with water shows up out of nowhere. Hey, you guys need water?
That's awesome.
And he's like, I've just seen God's hand all over this. Whoa! That gets me. And it's frustrating to see like the things sometimes that the government does and doesn't do, and believers do, and people still have this bad impression of what Christians are. And I hate that. I think it's sad because you got people like this that are out there meeting people's needs, meeting them where they are, and taking care of them and loving on them. It's pretty great. I'm actually going to try to go over there this week and take a couple days and go help him because he's exhausted. He's working like a dog. But just to be able to love on people and give them something tangible along with Christ, I think is a really, really cool thing. I think at one point or another in our lives, we all have big questions concerning God. Hey, it's the Wally Show on Uplifting Way FM, and I got one from Mason. Mason's 13, and he's a kid that emails me every once in a while, and I like this kid. And he's like, hey, I wonder if you have any advice on a situation in my family. I have a family member who was severely impacted by the hurricane that hit Florida. They lost tons of their stuff, and they're not Christians. How do I share that God is a loving God, but he lets people's houses get destroyed?
Oof.
Anyway, keep up the good work.
Wow. Thanks, Mason.
Wow.
Jeez.
I mean, it is a huge, huge question. But I love that his heart at 13 is to share the goodness of God with his family members. Like, that's a beautiful start.
And I think, too, it's good to question your faith and realize what it is you are believing in. You need to ask these questions. I think that's a healthy thing. So for him to be starting out at 13, getting these questions, getting clarification, I think that can only come to some good for him in the future.
And it's a difficult question because you can't tell a non-believer, well, God has a plan. Oh, really? That plan was to destroy my house and my stuff? That's a great God you got there. Like I always put myself in the other person's shoes when about sharing faith and like what objections they would have on stuff. And like, that's the first one. Like, you can't use the normal God is good and there's a plan thing.
Right. I think if we try and justify for God, it just looks bad on his part. We might be better off just being silent.
Well, yeah, because if you treat God like a product, it's not the best product because it doesn't always work out. It doesn't always remove your stain, if you will, you know? And so I am curious, though. Maybe you've lived a lot of life as a believer, or maybe you've been in a situation similar to this. What would you say to Mason? I've already responded to him. I'll hold my comments for the end. But I'd love to see if maybe there was something I missed, you know, that you have a good insight on this. So how would Mason at 13 years old tell his family members who lost a lot of their things in the hurricane that God is still a God of love and he can be trusted? So how would you answer that question? 855-33 Way FM. Love when you weigh in on this kind of stuff with us. 855-33 Way FM. What advice would you give him, Stephanie?
Well, I love that his young heart is so broken for his family and wanting so desperately to share God's love. And I was very close to his age when I experienced a tremendous loss in my life. I babysat a child that died about 9 months old of spinal meningitis, and I really struggled with how could God allow that. And my daddy told me one day, he said, God is not the preventer of bad things, he's the rescuer and the giver of hope. And I feel like when you think about all the families who lost so much in Helene, they are searching for hope, and all he can be or we can be is just a beacon of light that says, look, we live in a broken world and bad things happen, but God shows us always a way out and a way forward and a path to healing.
See, that's the thing, that we use God as a product and we sell him as a product to protect us and take care of us and do all these things. But the reality is Christians die every day. You are not physically protected. You are eternally protected, but you are not physically protected. No one is, you know, and I think that we missell God when we are talking to people about him. But the thing is God is there, like you're saying, in the aftermath. That's one of the things I told Mason. I said, you know, I believe, you know, when people say, where's your God? It's in the volunteers. It's in the people loving on people who have lost everything and sharing hope with them, giving of themselves, giving financially, giving their time, hugging someone. Like, that's God in there, you know? And I said, that's what I would share with these people.
And, you know, in the reality, if we all have the easy life and we all get to wake up every day and nobody's sick and nobody's lost a home and nobody's lost a loved one, what forces us to turn to God? You know, it's in the times of struggle that we, at least for me, I know I draw closer to him because I know those times are when he's going to draw near to me for sure.
Hey, it's the Wally Show. Who's this?
This is Nazaria and Chanel. My perspective is that you have to, trust God's timing, and you have to, be grateful that you didn't lose yourself. You just lost some of your stuff.
Yeah, I think that you're right in that sometimes it's a shift of perspective. I don't believe necessarily that God causes tragedies, for people.
Yeah.
And so, I think that maybe you shift their focus to, yes, you did lose some things, but you have what's really important here. You're safe, and you have your family that loves you, and maybe shift that perspective. Well, I appreciate your help on this today, Azaria and Chanel. Thank you. Azaria, how old are you?
10.
10. I love that you have a perspective for Mason, who's asking this question, who's 13. Kid to kid. I love it. Thank you, girl.
You're welcome. Thank you.
It's kind of weird how patriotism and prayer have almost been vilified inside of our society today. And that's why it's cool to see people stand up for both. From the director and producers of God's Not Dead, there's a new film out that's called Average Joe. And it's a story you probably were aware of a little while back of the high school football coach Joe Kennedy, who chose to fight for his right to exercise his faith and pray at the 50-yard line following games. I think what's interesting about this movie is they delve into his childhood and his past and what led him to this place, because he had his skeletons and he wasn't this perfect revival Christian guy. He was a real life guy that had issues, but faith was a part of that. And I think that that's the part of the movie that connected with me and maybe will connect with you as well. He was fired. His wife Denise even gets caught in the middle of it and she has to pick a side. So if you want to check it out, it's Average Joe. It's rated PG-13, so you can make your decisions as a parent there. It's in theaters October 11th. And if you want tickets or more information, you can find that at averagejoemovie.com.
More than just a beautiful face. Here's Gavin.
We're having a moment here. Don't ruin it.
I bet you thought I was going to say Betty. It's News-ish on The Wally Show.
There is something magical about the sleep that you can get in a hotel room.
I can't explain it. I don't know why.
Explain it to me, because I don't know what you're talking about.
Wait, what?
I don't.
Well, I think that right now, we have a work trip coming up here soon, and as a guy who has a 2-month-old and hasn't slept really well in a while, I'll take anything.
Which you can't tell your wife.
But I know I can't. I'm not that excited about this trip. I'm super excited about this trip. But I think that somebody actually did put together this list of reasons to why a hotel room is great, why you get great sleep there, and how you can maybe shift your bedroom to feel like a hotel room.
Because, Betty, you would say why. Like, every time I travel, I don't care what hotel I'm in, I'm always like, that was a great night's sleep.
Really?
Yeah, I'm like, this bed. I have looked up, I've taken the sheets up to look at the mattress before and went, I should buy one of these. Yeah, I mean, I felt so good, but then I go to another hotel that has a different mattress, and it feels just as good. I'm like, what in the world?
Well, that's one of the first things on this list is that they say to upgrade your bedding, which is a financial commitment. Not everybody can just outright do that, but they said that even mid-tier hotels have high-end mattresses, which is I've got a mattress that's from like the 1980s that was passed down to us, and I sleep fine on it, but my wife says that it's like super rough and hard. But when you get on that hotel bed, you just sink.
I know.
It's
lovely.
I'm having a different experience from the both of y'all, because
Really?
mine aren't that great.
What?
No, but you do sleep well everywhere, like in your own setting.
Yeah.
So maybe for you,
and you
a
stay
change.
at flea motels. Like, we stay at nice places.
Oh, stop it. Here's what I think
Big Holiday
it is.
Inn.
Here's what I think it is. I'm the single person and y'all are married.
Yeah.
So if your spouse is snoring or they have a cough and they're constantly going back and forth,
That's true.
that would get old, and I would look forward to a night at a hotel.
Sure.
But to me, I'd rather just be home. And I always seem to get the room right by the elevator.
Nah, and the
then
ice machine.
And the parents with the kids that they just let them run up and down the hall. Like, it's just not great.
You're just doing hotels wrong.
I guess.
Apparently. Well, another thing they mentioned was to do make your bedroom darker and cool the room down. I know when I step into my frigid hotel room and I get to snuggle up underneath my big blanket. I love it.
And they have blackout curtains,
They do,
too, because
yes.
they're usually next to a highway. And
your
so,
view's not something you pay for.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
I don't know, man. Again, I've looked at the mattresses and tried. We actually bought one mattress one time that was the same mattress that was in like Hilton hotels or something like that.
Was it great?
Oh, yeah, it was pretty great.
Oh.
So now I still didn't sleep as well. Maybe because I know no one's going to clean my room next.
Ew.
Yeah.
See, that's another thing. I think about germs and did they really wash these sheets?
They do.
Or
Ish. But who cares? I'm sleeping like a baby.
That's
I don't
right.
even care. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it, man. Uplifting Way FM. This is the Wally Show. And grace is something that we all want, but sometimes we don't always divvy it out freely. But I want to talk about this with you. I had a situation. Facebook Marketplace and me are mortal enemies.
I told you. I have been telling you this for at least a year, Wally. Stop going to Facebook Marketplace because you sell things, you try to buy things, and both times, either way you go, you're always getting livid about how people handle themselves.
Always drama.
I don't get it. Like, just stop doing it.
Because I handle myself like people should on Facebook Marketplace. I respond to people. I'm kind, all these things. And I'm respectful. And so here's the situation. I wanted to buy a miter saw. I had a good deal on a miter saw. I had to wait around a little bit after church to make the time to meet up. Works out. Actually, right now we're best friends. Okay. He's like, yeah, you can meet me at 1:30. Perfect.
He responded to you in a timely manner. I don't see the
Pretty
issue.
much. Right now there's not. And we're in good place. So I go up there and I'm like ready to go. And it's like brand new in a box. I'm like, oh, even better. So I get out of my car. I say, hey, how you doing? He's like, here it is. I go, hey, let's pull it out real quick just to make sure, since it's new, like you've not used it, let's make sure it all works and everything. Because he was a little weird on where he got it from. And so I take it out of the box and plug it in and fires up. Like, oh, good. I'm like, at this point, I'm like, everything's great. But then it's missing pieces.
Oh.
So, because the box had been opened, so it was missing pieces.
Important pieces.
Yeah, ones you need to hold the blade on.
Oh.
Yes, very vital pieces.
Okay.
So he's like, oh, they should be here. I'm like, yeah, they should. It's okay. Because I was literally trying to get out of town to go take my brother-in-law and my sister a generator because they have been affected by the hurricane, okay? So I'm trying to get that to them. And I did not want to go back because I hate it when people are like, oh, I can't make it today. And they make up some excuse. So I still went here way out of my way, even though I needed to be in South Carolina because I didn't want to be that person that flakes. So then I get there and the thing isn't like it was advertised. And I'm like, dadgummit. So he tries to take off an arbor from or a shim from different broken saws he has and all this stuff. We sit there for the better part of 35 minutes. My wife is in the car texting me, if you're not sure, don't get it. And I'm like, I know, I got this. And then she's like, really, don't buy it if it's not right. And so finally he's like, I'm sorry. I don't have the piece here, and I thought it was here. Because I had even asked him the day before, is everything there? Does it have a blade? No blade. And so then he finds a blade and puts it all together. So anyway, but he was very kind. So I had every right to be really mad at this point.
Please don't tell me you bought it anyway.
Yes, I did. No, I'm kidding.
Oh.
No, I'm kidding. I did not.
Gosh.
I almost did. Because I thought I could find the piece online, but I started quickly looking. I'm like, I can't find the piece. And so, but I was kind. I extended grace. He was like, I am so sorry. I really thought it was there. This is my bad. I feel bad that you drove all the way out here. I'm like, you know what? It's fine. I didn't even mention the fact that I'm late now to get to South Carolina for a generator. Right. And so I'm like, it's okay. It's not a problem. And I just kind of left. So I extended grace in a situation where I'm really, really frustrated. Really, really frustrated by that.
Honestly, I'm not going to give you a pat on the back because you never leave satisfied.
I know.
You're always angry.
I don't understand why Facebook Marketplace hates me.
You keep coming back.
I know.
I don't get it.
She's going to change one day.
No.
She'll change.
No.
So I want to talk about this with you, though. 855-33-WAY-FM. What was the time that you extended grace in a situation that maybe you weren't necessarily expected to or could have easily gone the other direction, okay? 855-33-WAY-FM. That's 855-33-WAY-FM. We'll take yours now. Angie, when is the time that you had to dispense a little bit of grace, maybe even though you didn't want to?
On my job. I was helping a customer, and she didn't want help. She was cursing at me and yelling, and calling me names, and I was kind to her, even extended the love of God to her, and she asked me why I was being nice.
That's interesting that she would ask you why you're being so nice, which means she knows that she was being a pill.
She did, and I told her it was because God loved her, and she broke down, and she said, I know, and she apologized and all that, so it worked out.
Oh, wow. You turned that situation. I guess, there are things in the Bible that we sometimes forget about, and a soft answer turneth away wrath. You lived that out. It probably brought a little bit of conviction to her for how she knew she was acting, but you chose to see beyond that and extend the love and grace of God to her, and that can change somebody. I love that. Well, Angie, thanks for being on with us. That's a great story.
My pleasure. Thanks so much.
So what is the time, Corey, that you extended a little bit of grace?
So it's interesting that you said you didn't want to be that guy that does the flaking on people because I got flaked on.
Oh, no, really? Okay.
Yeah, just this past Saturday, a buddy of mine in my small group, he's going through divorce, and he's got to move into an apartment, the whole thing. But we all were like, let's just make this be one trip for you so you don't have to, be in this situation any longer than necessary. So we're all scheduled to be there, and I'm the only one that shows up.
Oh, bad form, small group, bad form.
So it really wasn't terrible, but you get that the next day on Sunday morning. You get, something came up,
Yeah.
I hate that.
Yeah, came up for me too, but I still was there,
I was there, and, and so it really was. It wasn't terrible. It was nice to be able to serve the guy in my small group.
Did he at least buy pizza?
We didn't have time. We just made a quickest trip that we could of it.
Not even free pizza. That is a bad day.
Yeah, Corey, next time something like this happens, let's say one of those people that was supposed to show up, but then they didn't show up, okay? And they come to you and they're like, man, I need help moving. Are you going to show up?
I got to think I'm going to show up.
There he is. Corey will show up because Corey is the man.
I'll believe it when I see it,
No, Corey will show up.
If you don't show up, I don't blame you.
Because you're a horrible person, but Corey will show up. Uplifting Way FM, this is the Wally Show. Recently we were at the Doves, and Gavin is feverishly working hard on a very funny video, I hope. Is it funny? Is it coming out funny?
I'm not audibly doing it, but I'm chuckling on the inside. This is great content.
Okay, good. Because Betty had this idea, so whether it was great or failed was going to be on her. And then she wrote a bunch of questions that they had to lip read from me because it's hard to hear on the red carpet anyway. And everybody played along really well, like for the most part, because some of the things Betty wrote were edgy.
No.
This is your idea. 100%.
I didn't
edgy
come up
Betty.
with what they were going to say.
100% your idea.
All Wally.
Look,
that was all Wally.
I hate taking credit for things that aren't mine.
No.
You're funny, Betty.
Betty, you crushed this. The one about Torrin Wells having the runs,
Stop it. No,
genius.
I didn't. That was all you.
Crazy.
I don't think so.
That was all honest, truthful.
I don't know. Not important. So anyway, we'll have that for you tomorrow. We'll have audio from that. We'll have the video that you can see it. But in speaking of most everybody had fun with it, I don't think Joel from For King and Country enjoys me anymore. And to the point that I even asked Luke about it on the red carpet. Here's a little clip of it. Let me play this. So we did the lip reading from them.
It's always eventful with you, my friend.
It's always I know you don't. I know you mean that, but in the worst possible way.
I do.
I know you do, Jolie. So I say, he says, it's always eventful. And I say, I know you mean that in the worst possible way. And he goes, I do. And then I tell Luke, I said, Joel hates me. And Luke's response was, he doesn't hate you. And that's not a good response.
No, if he said no, of course not, then he loves you. On with your life. But he doesn't quite. He
doesn't hate you.
Didn't say he doesn't like you.
But then he quickly said, the family loves you. Which is so great.
Well, take your wins and take your losses.
I know.
No, and not everybody can like you.
No, I know. And I get it. Like Joel and I are on a different page comedically, I think. And I've put Joel through the ringer in the past.
But at the end of the day, Betty was the one who wrote all
right,
that.
Betty
so I don't
did
know why
it.
He's mad at you.
Yeah, really. Why? You should be having to have coffee with his dad this week, not me.
It wasn't me.
I don't know about that. Great job again, Betty Rock. Let's clap it out for her.
Growing up in poverty has never been easy for children, but with the added challenges of the pandemic, conflict, and natural disasters, families around the world are facing an unprecedented food crisis. Unfortunately, those who are already hungry are now even more desperate. But by sponsoring a child through compassion, you can help provide life-sustaining essentials such as food and clean water. And with your compassionate support, that child can not only survive, but also flourish. You can find out how and choose a child to sponsor when you click on the compassion banner at wayfm.com.
Uplifting Way FM. This is The Rock Report with Betty Rock.
Recently, I have decided that Wally has ADHD.
Yeah, you've diagnosed me even though I've not been professionally diagnosed.
No, but when you look at the symptoms, it's like, that checks out. Like, for instance, unable to sit still.
Feet are going right now.
Excessive talking.
I can't stop myself.
And acting without thinking.
Every day.
So maybe you're wondering if you have ADHD. Well, there are your symptoms. One thing that you have in common with Paris Hilton.
Oh my goodness. Besides our just ravaging good looks.
Is your ADHD.
Nuts.
Yes. So she has ADHD. I had no idea.
I hadn't either.
But she said that she likes her ADHD. She said it gives her creativity, resilience, and the ability to think outside the box.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. Like, let's say, hypothetically, that I have ADHD. Hypothetically, I have an adult version of ADHD. Yeah. I've lived my whole life not thinking twice about it. And I've been successful in different places in my life. And so for me, like, I wouldn't think, oh, this held me back. But what if I had been diagnosed with it and then I'm like, the narrative is, I've got ADHD, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this. And then it could have held me back. So sometimes ignorance might be bliss, man.
Sure, because you don't consider yourself like an overcomer of said thing. Like,
no.
You are just, like, it's just your identity that you've worked hard.
Yeah, but who's to say that had you gotten diagnosed back when you were younger and gotten on medication, you could have been even higher on your game.
Even more successful.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe.
That's what I'm thinking.
I don't think I could be more successful. I'm working with you, Rock. How could things get better for me?
Nice way to turn it.
Thanks.
So Paris Hilton, she pointed out that there is a lot that goes on behind the scenes with someone who has ADHD. And I was going to see if you find this
cool.
true as well. She said you have to constantly manage the mental noise in your head and the energy. That it can be exhausting at times, but it doesn't mean that you're any less capable. So do you find it exhausting with the constant mental noise in your head and the energy?
My mind is going all the time. My mind does not shut off. Now, until I go to bed, like, so I'm exhausted by the end of the day. And then when my head hits, I just good, clean living. I'm out.
Well, here's something that you might be interested in. It could be a ringtone for your phone. Paris Hilton wrote a song called ADHD.
No, she did not.
Okay, wait. She said about the song, she said, it's my way of saying that it's okay to be different. It's those differences that can make you unstoppable.
Say less. I want to hear this. We have not had Paris Hilton music in so long. Oh my goodness. Here we go. Enjoy this.
Now look at me. I'm the best I can be. I was so down that I'd never be free. My superpower was right inside C. It was ADHD.
It was ADHD. She got European there.
Did she write that to be funny?
So your ADHD is riding side seat with you.
Yeah, and she thanked herself at the end of it. You know what?
That's bad.
I think we're both managing our ADHD a little bit differently, but good on her. Uplifting Way FM.
Oh my goodness.
This is the Wally Show. I need your help. Fam. Just, I'm in a bad place.
Oh, grief.
Mentally, emotionally.
I get it.
No, you are too much.
Yeah.
You're way too dramatic, and you're too emotionally challenging on me.
Well, that's not helping.
He's in a bad place.
Yeah.
My
Tragic moment. Like Gavin over here is giving me compassion, and Betty is giving me condemnation.
Because it's over nothing.
Two different choices, two different ways to go. One healthy and helping, and one not. Here's the situation. Betty Rock actually crafted the perfect Dunkin drink for me. It is a large Dunkin iced coffee with 6 caramel, 6 cream, and 6 liquid cane sugar. And then, hey, we'll just put a little liquid cold foam on the top just for funsies, okay? It's perfect. Every Dunkin I went to, perfect. Made it great. All of a sudden, one day I had one. Something was different. Something was wrong. It didn't taste right.
Ugh.
I figured they had substituted cold brew for the original blend.
Good grief.
Figured that was the problem. Went to another Dunkin' on a different day. It tasted the same as the bad one.
No.
I know. Then I'm thinking, gotta be a fluke. Maybe they did the same thing. Went to another Dunkin' 40 miles away. Same problem. Same. It's consistent, but it's consistently bad. Like, I had this drink dialed in, and it was truly one of the things that I lived for. Like, on a Friday, sometimes it'd be like I'd wait all week to have one, and then I get it, and it's bad.
Oh,
so here's what I need your help
tough.
with. Something has changed, and I don't know what. Has Dunkin' changed
Your
their
sanity?
coffee? Have they changed their cream? Have they changed their caramel? Right now would be a great time for someone that works at Dunkin', or knows a manager or somebody, or if somebody is on the inside of something nefarious that has happened there and they can explain it. Maybe you'll break ranks and you'll say, hey, look, I work at Dunkin'. Yeah, we got some stuff going on, and I'm going to tell you right now, but you got to keep my name out of it because I don't need that kind of heat being a whistleblower because something is wrong.
Have you ever wondered if maybe your concoction, your drink, has ruined your taste buds?
I thought of that. Honestly, I did think of that. That's why I did the taste test of multiple coffees at multiple locations, and it was consistently bad. It's not me. It's never me. So I really need to Yougle this right now. I need somebody who knows some information. Maybe you've suffered the way I have suffered and you did a little digging and you got some information that can help me. What has changed with Dunkin' coffee that now makes it taste horrible? I don't know, and I need to know. My drink and my life is ruined.
Would you please stop? This is such a first world problem.
Oh, you
it's
think?
Annoying.
Really? Okay. Well, it must be nice to live in your ivory tower where everything's perfect. 855-33-WAY-FM. I could Google this, but I don't trust the internet. I don't. I want to know from somebody who might know firsthand something has changed at Dunkin' and you're willing to break ranks and tell me. So 855-33-WAY-FM. I will take no one calling as a sign that this is not important. 855-33-WAY-FM. There go the phones. And we will get to the bottom of this here in 5 or 10 minutes on The Wally Show. Do you have any information?
So I don't have information on Dunkin' for you, but I do have information about coffee that will change your life. It is at Twice Daily. It is the smoothest, most delicious coffee, and they have all the creamers, all the sugars, and you can zhuzh it any way you want, and it'll be delicious.
Okay, because my coffee is very zhuzhed, and so it's 6 caramel, 6 cream, 6 liquid cane sugar. That's the key, and sweet cold foam on the top. So it's barely coffee. I admit that. Well, okay. I'm going to keep looking for someone who might know something about Dunkin', but in the meantime, I am open to offers from other coffee companies to woo me right now. I'm taking offers. So Twice Daily might be it, Jody. Thank you.
Thank you.
I hate to be like super conspiracy minded, but I think there's a conspiracy. I think Dunkin' has changed their coffee and somebody's holding out on us and is not willing to come forward or is too scared to come forward. We'll keep your name anonymous. If you'd like to right now, explain to me what happened with Dunkin's coffee. 855-33-WAY-FM. We got time for one more. I'll make more time for this if I have to. 855-33-WAY-FM. Do you have any knowledge of this?
Yeah, I work at Dunkin'.
Oh, okay, perfect. You're exactly who I want to talk to. It tastes bitter. There's an aftertaste now. So I'm trying to figure out why.
Because when we make the coffee at Dunkin', you put the ice in the thing first, and then you make the coffee, and you have to stir the coffee. If you don't stir the coffee, it's very bitter and terrible tasting.
You're saying that the big vat of coffee needs to be stirred, not my drink.
Nope, the big vat that we make
to
get your iced coffee.
That would explain it.
But you already have a high maintenance drink. Imagine going in there and being like, excuse me, you're not doing your job well. I need you to get into the coffee pot and stir the coffee.
Yeah, I'll come in and supervise if you need to.
I've gone in there and asked them to restir the coffee because it tastes terrible. It tastes so bitter. I'm like, I can't even get it down.
Yeah, it's like gritty. It's grainy and bitter. Okay. Well, this is good. I will just promote and say, hey, have you stirred the coffee lately?
Wow. And then they're going to spit it.
If it tastes like it used to, I don't care.
EA Sports. It's in the game.
Uplifting Way FM. This is the Wally Show, and being on this show kills a little piece of Gavin's soul. So we like to reinstate that in him with sports, because we don't talk a lot of sports here on the show. But we like to do Yay Sports, where he gets to bring up something sporty with us.
Yes, and today's Yay Sports comes from a man named Clyde Christensen. He is an offensive coach for the University of North Carolina, but he has coached in the NFL for the Miami Dolphins, for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, worked with guys like Tom Brady in the past, so he's got an obviously great NFL background. But he wrote this little article about how to apply his knowledge of sports, the way he approached sports, and how he applies that to being a dad and how to avoid drifting as a dad.
Okay, so, like drifting in your faith? Or
drifting in terms of like just kind of the quality of fatherhood that you present. So the first step, and again, all these are kind of like football, but he applies them to being a dad. So the first one was to begin with a vision. When you go into a game, he talks about how you go into a game with a game plan.
Yes.
It's very similar when you go into being a parent, or if you're, a team with your wife, you have this game plan about how you want to raise your kid, and it's probably a good thing to sometimes like stick to that.
Yeah. If you know what you're doing going in, like don't let him get a theater degree. Don't let him get a theater degree. Whatever you do, I let her get a theater degree. So yeah, if I had that game plan, had that written down on a whiteboard somewhere, I could have prevented that. It wouldn't have mattered
because she would have been like, "Daddy, I want a theater degree."
My little angel, I don't know if you're ever really going to use this or not.
It doesn't matter, Daddy. It's my dream.
Okay, I love you. Let's foster that dream.
The next one was to create great routines. He talks about how quarterbacks like Tom Brady have like great routines, like wake up, exercise, eat healthy, do all these things. You can apply that to the routines that you have with being a father, with your family. Like I remember just growing up, like there was always a routine that we woke up, we did like a Bible lesson, we prayed at dinner. There were those like things that happened every day that I think were key to like my parents and how I want to apply myself to raising my son.
And kids need regimented stuff too, as much as you think they don't. They actually need schedules and they need that routine. But you need to also make it have fun things too. Like my daughter and I, once a month, we would go and sit at the bar top table at Waffle House. And that was just our thing because my wife hated it. And so she and I would just go there and we'd kind of catch up and do a life check-in, and stuff like that. And we still, when she's in town or when I'm in town, we try to make time to do that even as an adult.
That's awesome. And then the last one was, he says to just go for it and don't settle. All the greats never settled for being an okay quarterback, an okay offense. You don't want to settle for being, I'm a good enough dad.
Yeah.
Like you can set yourself that mark to go and be the greatest dad, the greatest parent.
Pursue it with passion, because honestly, it takes work. Just like quarterbacks and all these professional athletes have to put in the work to have the results. It is the exact same thing with your kids. It takes work, and no one else can do it for you. You have to do the time, and it's worth it in the end. But it means sometimes you've got to make sacrifices of things you want to do and things that you would rather be doing in that moment, and to invest in the life of your child for sure. But boy, I'll tell you, when you can do that, it pays off.
Sure. I can't wait. I'm hoping to apply all these. And I mean, again, let me just say, you're a great dad.
Thank you.
I've learned a lot over the last 5 years and how to be a great
If
dad.
you take nothing from me, Gavin, don't let Bennett get a theater degree. That's all I ask.
I'm going to write that down.
Put it on a whiteboard.
Well, that's the end, but it doesn't have to be. Check out our Aftercast. It's new stuff you didn't hear in the podcast. Be sure to rate us on iTunes as well as connect with us on social media. Just search Wally Show. And if you'd like to join our Facebook group made exclusively for you potties, the link is in the description of this podcast. Thanks to Colorado Christian University Online for supporting what we do.